Please.
Your content making you money.
Yeah, I mean, again, I can talk about Bloomberg. I can talk about some of the other competitors that I've worked for. I can talk about startup companies that I've been involved in, and a lot of through private equity, a lot of companies I've looked at. Bloomberg is as innovative as any company. It is as well funded as any company, and I think as it relates to us driving innovation and the best products for our customers. It has a 30-year history in the financial market and a building history in the legal market of being able to do it better than anyone. So I don't see our need to give up control of our data to someone else to get a little extra innovation. So I don't see it.
Who would not want a little extra innovation in this room? I think the established brands, and you know, Bloomberg's a great example. An established brand is kind of has an opportunity and as well as a very real threat. And the opportunity is you have great brand, great data set, and the potential to spark innovation, particularly with a more technology-enabled demographic that would improve your bottom line. And to the degree, I'm making.
I'm sorry.
If I could finish the statement, let's take a practical example. Let's take a company that first disintermediated the traditional channel of travel called Expedia. And Expedia, in 2005, was in a massive cake war. And by that, they meant they had their website as their primary destination, their primary revenue stream, and their cake had to compete with all these other cakes. It had to compete on price, had to compete on deals, had to compete on marketing, had to compete on SEO. And Expedia recognized that as the world moves more towards a mobile and platform-based world, particularly with apps, they had to pivot off of just relying on selling cakes. They would only compete in the cake world on certain parameters. But if you look at the threshold we've passed in the mobile space, Expedia now in 2012 has a vibrant platform which transacts over $1 billion through their APIs. Travel transactions through their APIs now power more than 1,000 other businesses, the nature of your question, back to Expedia. So if you Google Expedia platform Forbes, there's a terrific article in Forbes how they pivoted from just making cakes to unbundling the ingredients of their cake. They took the flour, sugar, icing, etc. And they said, let's sell these other layers that we have, these ingredients, to other businesses for them to eventually depend on us as a supply chain. And I thought Raphael had a great point. How do you make your data so easily accessible that you become a supply chain to thousands of other companies?
And they're in the consumer market, though. Expedia, I would imagine, correct? I mean, your definition.
There's not one consumer paying for Expedia's data.
I was arguing on other things with Rich Barton, the former CEO and the founder of Zillow, yesterday. So I'm pretty sure they're in the consumer market. Let me give you an example of one of your clients.
Their customers and APIs are business customers.
Let me talk about one of your customers. Okay, I'm gonna not release the name of this customer because it's probably, even though it's 30 years old, it's covered by confidentiality. One of your customers went to my former employer years ago and cut a deal to get extra revenue to improve their bottom line, which gave away the worldwide exclusive perpetual right to take their information and put it in electronic form to LexisNexis.
That's a bad legal deal, not a technology deal. That has nothing
But
to do with technology.
that was to increase their bottom line, and it is one of your customers, and I'll tell you offline who it was. If it wasn't for a change of control clause when we bought it from Me Data Central, that company would never be able to do 100 of the things that they're doing today. When content owners, and this is the fear of Google, the fear of APIs, when content owners get so scared that they're not going to be able to distribute their content the right way, and they're looking for a few extra dollars, what ends up happening is they put their businesses at risk. I'd much rather be the aggregator to my customers, create the content, own the content, control the content, and be able to drive it through my customers. And I'd argue if anyone who is a Bloomberg terminal customer where you got a 30-year background tells us that it's not the most innovative way to get their information for the people who get it. Each week, I mean, all the salespeople live in New York and travel throughout the country. You know why? Because each week, new features and functionalities come out from the core product. The fact is that content owners can't be scared. If it's part of their strategy, I agree that if I was the chairman or the CEO of a company that was not reaching the maximum potential on its distribution of content, there's a lot of things that you can do. And I agree. I don't disagree with mastery or with APIs as a business model. It just doesn't work for all. It doesn't mean innovation. It means companies who can't afford maybe as much innovation get extra innovation by having people build on top of it. But if you have the resources and you're able to go out and do it, it does create the lack of control, openness. I never viewed openness as silly or any of the things, even though my legal training. I think openness entails people being able to do things with your content that you haven't necessarily envisioned. And at the end of the day, I think us as content owners, to the extent that we get afraid of the Googles of the world and other things, and let them have our content and let them do what they want with it, I think that devalues what we bring to the marketplace. So, and I think we're all in different places.
Hi, I'm Greg Merkel, Dow Jones. Probably to counter the Bloomberg conversation a little bit, I meet with many, many customers who are desperately trying to replace your terminal with a hand-built offering. And they are looking to architect with open standards. And clearly, it's a new frontier, so you're right. It's maybe the Wild West and loss of control to the publisher, but ultimately these enterprises are actually trying to build a solution that's closer to their workflow. And I don't necessarily agree that a walled garden is perhaps the exact approach to the future. I think that these open platforms provide the freedom, variety, and choice that these large enterprises are looking for. And working very closely with many of your clients, maybe not on the law side, but on the business side. In the business-to-business enterprise, knowledge managers, CIOs are looking to build these very flexible environments. And there's been a high failure rate in terms of building knowledge portals and bringing content closer to people, to users. But that is continually being challenged by new standards. Mastery providing a wonderful, I'd say, aggregation of services rather than just straight content that enables our customers ultimately, who have the ultimate decision in terms of what services they want to bring to their users. So I'll just make that statement.
So you work for Dow Jones, right?
Yes.
So the Wall Street Journal, if a lawyer wants to get to it, if a lawyer wants to get an electronic version of the Wall Street Journal, how do they get it?